Welcome to IAS MONK. I'm Vinod Karkod. I have 25 years of experience. I have written more than 25 books. These are my latest books. 3 books. Okay, I have see 1, 2, 3. These are the 3 books. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this book contains all the essays from 2014 to 2025, all 12 years essays, civil services main exams essay paper essays. So 12 years into 8 essays, every year 8 essays. So 96 essays are there in these books, with workshop for each essay, that is how to write essay, fodder sheets, and Western as well as Indian thinkers or philosophers take on that topic, and essay tree, how essay can be written. So all those are there in this book, followed by a full length essay, 1200 words essay. So in this series I am connecting essays with GS main papers questions. I have already mapped GS 1-2 papers, and in my previous episode I have covered GS3 main exams, GS3 papers, first 10 questions. In this part 2 I am covering questions from 11 to 20. So straight away we will move on to question number 11. What is that question? I have a question paper in my hand. I have given that question here, full question, 12.5 marks, word limit is 200. So question, I will just read it out from this question paper. Can overuse and free availability of antibiotics without doctor's prescription be contributors to the emergence of drug-resistant diseases in India? What are the available mechanisms for monitoring and control? Critically discuss the various issues involved. Okay, so antibiotics are used for bacterial infections. So if you use more and more antibiotics, the bacteria, they are very intelligent, they become resistant to that drug. So antibiotic resistance in India is rising because public health power is not exercised responsibly. Over-the-counter availability, self-medication, and irrational prescriptions expose bacteria to unnecessary antibiotics, accelerating resistance. Okay, hospitals with weak infection control become hot spots for resistant strains, while poor sanitation spreads them into communities. In livestock and aquaculture, antibiotics are used routinely as growth promoters, creating resistant bacteria that enter the food chain. Pharmaceutical waste discharged into rivers and soil further amplifies resistance, reflecting gaps in environmental regulation. Monitoring mechanisms exist. Okay, NCDC surveillance, ICMR, AMR network, Schedule H1 restrictions, and hospital stewardship programs. So all these are there, but coverage and enforcement remain uneven. Diagnostics are underused, leading to empirical and excessive antibiotic use. Responsible public health governance requires strict prescription control, wastewater regulation, improved hygiene, and nationwide AMR surveillance. Without responsible action, India risks a future where common infections become untreated. So this connects very well with our essay theme. So that is, greater scientific and regulatory power demands greater responsibility to safeguard public health and future generations. Okay, go through these Prelims Boosters. Okay, in 2017, one question has been asked. I keep telling you, preliminary exam questions are, most of them are picked from previous year's main exam question papers. This is a proof here. 2017 one question has been asked on AMR surveillance and NCDC fluctuations, and this question is from 2014 main exam. Okay, fine. Then next question, Question number 12, that is, okay. In a globalized world, intellectual property rights assume significance and are a source of litigation. Broadly distinguished between the terms copyrights, patents, and trade secrets. Okay, so in globalized economy, intellectual property represents a form of knowledge power, and its responsible protection is essential for innovations, creativity, and fair competition. Copyright protects original literary, artistic, musical, and software works. It safeguards expression, not ideas. Patents protect inventions that are novel, non-obvious, and industrially applicable. They require disclosure in exchange for a 20-year monopoly. Trade secrets, on the other hand, protect confidential business information such as formulas, algorithms, and manufacturing processes. Unlike patents, they do not require disclosure and can last indefinitely, provided secrecy is maintained. Each IPR category serves for a different purpose. Okay, copyright encourages creativity, patents incentivizes technological innovations, and trade secrets protect competitive advantage. Responsible IPR governance ensures that creators are rewarded while society benefits from knowledge diffusion. Misuse, overprotection, or aggressive litigation can stifle innovation and access. So, greater knowledge power demands greater responsibility in how intellectual property is protected, shared, and used. Go through these spark points and prelims boosters. Okay. Next question number 13. Should the pursuit of carbon credits and clean development mechanisms set up under UNFCCC be maintained even though there has been a massive slide in the value of carbon credit? Discuss with respect to India's energy needs for economic growth. This is a very important question. Of course, all are important only with respect to environment. Okay, what are carbon credits? Carbon credits are just certificates. Okay, they are earned by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Greenhouse gases, GHG. Carbon dioxide is one major greenhouse gas. Okay, you study all those things separately. Under the Clean Development Mechanism, CDM, okay, developing countries like India earn these credits by adopting cleaner technologies which developed countries can purchase to meet their emission targets. This creates a global market linkage, linking climate responsibility with financial incentives. Okay, so each credit, actually carbon credit, represents 1 ton of carbon dioxide equivalent avoided. So if you avoid 1 ton of carbon dioxide, then that is counted as, that is equal to one carbon credit. Okay. So the fall in carbon credit prices has weakened the financial attractiveness of CDM projects. But the broader question is one of responsible environmental power. India's energy demand is rising rapidly due to industrialization, urbanization, and economic growth. If India relies excessively on fossil fuels, it risks long-term environmental degradation, energy insecurity, and global isolation. CDM projects promote renewable energy, energy efficiency, waste to energy, and methane capture, all of which reduce emissions while strengthening energy security. Even without high carbon credit prices, these projects offer core benefits such as cleaner air, reduced import dependence, and technological modernization. Maintaining CDM participation signals India's commitment to global climate frameworks and positions it as a responsible actor under UNFCCC. India can integrate CDM with domestic carbon markets, renewable purchase obligations, and the National Solar Mission to create stable incentives. So thus this question number 13, reflects our essay theme. That is, greater environmental and developmental power demands greater responsibility to pursue low carbon growth even when short-term financial incentives fluctuate. Okay. Okay then. We'll move on to next question. Go through these spark points and prelims booster also. Okay. So India hosts 1500, more than 1500 CDM projects. Okay. Along with highest globally. That's one of the, this go through these prelims booster. I told you preliminary exam questions are, most of them are picked from previous year's main exam question papers. Okay, so here on this topic in 2016, this is 2014's GS3 main exam paper. Okay, the question in prelims 2016, the question has been asked. So don't think it is a 10 years or 12 years old question paper. It is not relevant for today's exam. No, it's not like that. We have to go through at least previous 10, 12 years mains question papers. That will strengthen your preparation for upcoming prelims. Okay. Of course, I am taking up prelims, how to prepare for prelims and all that at least 1 month before the exam. How to how to prepare in last month's period. Okay. Whether to apply these elimination tricks and all that, where to apply, where not to apply, how far it is going to help you, all that I will discuss separately. Okay, moving on to next question, question number 14. Okay, question number 14 is what is here. You can read this question along with me. That is, drought has been recognized as a disaster in view of its spatial expanse, temporal duration, slow onset and lasting effects on vulnerable sections. With a focus on the September 2010 guidelines from the National Disaster Management Authority (NDMA), discuss the mechanisms for preparedness to deal with likely El Nino and La Nina fallouts in India. You know what are these El Nino and La Nina? These are Spanish words. Okay, drought is a slow onset disaster with wide spatial impact, long duration and severe effects on vulnerable communities. NDMA's 2010 guidelines recognize that responsible disaster management power must shift from relief to preparedness. Okay. The prevention is better than cure, we say, right? So they emphasize early warning systems, vulnerability mapping, water resource planning, and district level drought mitigation strategies. ENSO events like El Nino causing monsoon weakening and La Nina enhancing rainfall require India to integrate seasonal climate forecasting into planning. IMD's improved modeling, remote sensing, and agro-meteorological advisories help anticipate rainfall deficits. Preparedness mechanisms include water harvesting, groundwater recharge, drought-resistant crops, and MG. MG means the old Mahatma Gandhi, Narega, okay? MGNREGA. That is now converted into VBG Ramji. What is that? You please go through that. Okay. So, these resilience works, okay. At the governance level, NDMA calls for coordinated action between agriculture, water resource, rural development and state disaster authorities. Community-based planning and panchayat level drought management ensure last mile preparedness. So this question, it connects to our essay theme, greater climate-related power demands greater responsibility to anticipate ENSO impacts and build long-term drought resilience. What is ENSO and all that? You please go through, focus on El Nino and La Nina. All that I'm not going to deal with here, all those in detail. I'm just restricting myself to main questions and how to write these answers, how we can connect these topics to essay papers topics. Okay, as I told you, I deal for preliminary exam, I deal separately. Okay, moving on to next question, question number 15, that is environmental impact assessment studies. Given that question here, please read this question. All these questions are for 12.5 marks and word limit is 200. Okay, so this question is, environmental impact assessment studies are increasingly undertaken before a project is cleared by the government. Discuss the environmental impacts of coal-fired thermal plants located at coal pit heads. Okay. Coal-fired pithead thermal plants reduce transportation costs and rail congestion, but they also concentrate environmental burdens at mining regions. Because they are located near to mines only. Pitheads are located near mines only. Okay. Air pollution from particulate matter, sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides affects local health visibility. Okay, large quantities of fly ash create disposal challenges. Okay, you please go through these points. Contaminating soil and water if not managed responsibly. Water withdrawal for cooling stresses local rivers and aquifers, while thermal discharge alters aquatic ecosystems. Okay, when mining and thermal generation coexist, the cumulative ecological footprint intensifies. Right, deforestation, land degradation, and habitat fragmentation become more severe. EIA studies highlights the need for flue gas desulfurization. See, flue gas desulfurization. On this topic, questions have been asked in preliminary exams. Okay, fine then. So, I was telling you, EIA studies highlight the need for flue gas desulfurization, electrostatic precipitators, high efficiency boilers and 100% fly ash utilization. Okay, see here how many India generates almost more than 200 million tons of fly ash annually. Million means 1 million is 10 lakhs. Okay, so India produces more than 200 million tons of fly ash annually. So on fly ash 2019, one preliminary question has been asked in 2019 about this flue gas, also fly ash. Okay, so EIA studies, they highlighted the need for flue gas desulfurization, electrostatic precipitators and high efficiency boilers and 100% fly ash utilization. Water efficient cooling systems and zero liquid discharge norms reduce hydrological stress. Carrying capacity assessments ensure that the region is not pushed beyond ecological limits. So this question relates to our essay theme. How the greater energy generation power demands greater responsibility to minimize environmental harm at the source and ensure sustainable development. Okay, moving on to next question, question number 16. That is, the diverse nature of India as a multi-religious and multi-ethnic society is not immune to the impact of radicalism which is seen in our neighborhood. Discuss along with strategies to be adopted to counter this environment. Okay, India's multi-religious and multi-ethnic fabric is inherently very strong, right? Yet not insulated from the radical currents emerging in its neighborhood. Okay, so extremist ideologies in the region can spill over through porous borders, digital propaganda and translational networks. These influences can exploit local grievances, identify fault lines and socio-economic vulnerabilities. Responsible internal security governance requires a blend of hard and soft measures. Intelligence coordination, cyber monitoring, and strengthened border management help detect and prevent cross-border radical flows. At the social level, community policing, interfaith dialogue, and inclusive development reduce susceptibility to extremist narratives. De-radicalization programs, youth engagement, and credible counter-narratives are essential to neutralize online and offline propaganda. Right? You agree, right? So regionally, India must work through diplomatic channels, intelligence sharing, and cooperative security frameworks to address the root causes of radicalism in neighboring states. So again, go through these Prelims Boosters and these PowerPoints, whatever I told you, all these summaries are here, points. Okay, these will teach you how to write mains answers. Okay, and this is connected to our essay topic also. And I am giving you Prelims Boosters also. Again, let me repeat. Main exam question papers or questions, they are actually the prelims exam question, they are picked from main exam question papers, the previous main exam question papers, most of them. Theme, topics, sometimes direct questions. Okay, moving on to next question, question number 17. International civil aviation laws provide all countries complete and exclusive sovereignty over the airspace above their territory. What do you understand by airspace? What are the implications of these laws on the space above? That means space above the airspace. Discuss the challenges which this poses and suggest ways to contain the threat. Okay, so airspace refers to the vertical zone above nation's land and territorial waters where the state exercises complete and exclusive sovereignty. This includes control over civil aviation, military flights, and aerial surveillance. Above this lies outer space, which is governed by international treaties that prohibit national appropriation, creating a legal and operational grey zone between sovereign airspace and non-sovereign space. This boundary generates multiple security challenges. Unmanned aerial vehicles, high altitude platforms, and near space technologies can exploit altitude ambiguities to conduct surveillance or intrusion. Space-based reconnaissance, missile trajectories, and anti-satellite capabilities further complicate national security. Cyber vulnerabilities in air traffic systems and satellite networks add another layer of risk. Containing these threats requires integrated air defense networks, long-range radars, satellite-based monitoring, and space situational awareness systems. Strengthening international norms on near-space operations and responsible space behavior is essential. So this question relates to our essay theme. Greater sovereign air power demands greater responsibility to secure national skies and manage emerging threats from the airspace continuum. Again, go through these Prelims Booster and these points. Let us move on to next question, question number 18. How does illegal trans-border migration, I am reading it out from this question paper. How does illegal trans-border migration pose a threat to India's security? Discuss the strategies to curb this, bringing out the factors which give impetus to such migration. Okay. So illegal trans-border migration, especially you might have heard about Rohingyas coming from Myanmar and then Bangladeshi, so a lot of West Bengal, the border states and areas. So illegal trans-border migration poses multi-dimensional security challenges. Okay, for India. It can alter demographic patterns in border states, creating social tensions and political instability. Okay, unregulated flows also provide cover for criminal syndicates, trafficking networks, and insurgent groups that exploit porous borders. Economic pressure on local labor markets and welfare systems further intensify internal vulnerabilities. Migration is driven by push factors such as poverty, political instability, environmental stress, and lack of livelihood opportunities. Okay. Pull factors, what are pull factors? They include better economic prospects, cultural proximity, and weak enforcement mechanisms. Responsible border management requires a combination of smart fencing, integrated checkposts, biometric identification, and real-time surveillance. Strengthening cooperation with neighboring countries, improving local policing, and involving border communities in vigilance are essential. Developmental initiatives in border districts reduce local susceptibility to illegal networks. So this question directly relates to our essay thing. So greater sovereign and administrative power demands greater responsibility to manage borders humanly, securely, and strategically. Okay. So again, go through these prelims boosters and these points. Okay, these are very good study material for your prelims also. Okay, moving on to next question, question number 19. In 2012, the longitudinal marking of high-risk areas for piracy was moved from 65 degrees east to 75 degrees east in the Arabian Sea. So it is expanded by the International Maritime Organization. What impact does this have on India's maritime security concerns? Okay, so you must be knowing where India is located, the longitude and latitudes, all that you should go through. I'll deal all those things for prelims separately. So here connecting with respect to this question, see the shift of piracy high risk area from 65 degree to 78 degree east. Okay, you must be knowing about India's expansion. India lies entirely in northern hemisphere and you must be knowing, so mainland, India's mainland. So 68 degrees to 78 degrees. So it is being pushed, the shift of piracy high risk area. Okay, so this expanded geographical area where Indian merchant vessels means ships, navy and all this. So Indian merchant vessels, the trade ships, offshore installations and energy supply routes face elevated risk. Higher insurance premiums, rerouting costs, and mandatory security measures increase the financial burden on Indian shipping and trade. For India's maritime security apparatus, the shift demands intensified naval patrols, coordinated surveillance, and greater deployment of assets in the Arabian Sea. Fishing communities and coastal economies become more vulnerable to piracy-related disruptions. The proximity of the HRA also increases the risk of armed robbery, hijacking attempts, and maritime terrorism spillover. India must strengthen cooperation with the International Maritime Organization, regional navies, and anti-piracy task force. Enhanced maritime domain awareness, satellite tracking, and coastal radar chains are essential to contain the threat. Okay, here again, the greater maritime security power demands greater responsibility to safeguard sea lanes, protect economic interests, and ensure regional stability. Okay, moving on to the next question. This is the last question of this GS3 main question paper. This question is: China and Pakistan have entered into an agreement for development of an economic corridor. What threat does this pose for India's security? Critically examined. Okay. So the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, that is CPEC, poses significant security concerns for India because it passes through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, which belongs to India, directly challenging India's territorial sovereignty. The corridor deepens China-Pakistan strategic alignment, enabling military, economic, and infrastructural cooperation in sensitive border regions. China's presence in Gilgit-Baltistan and the Arabian Sea alters the regional balance of power and increases India's vulnerability to encirclement. Gwadar Port, a key CPEC node, has dual use potential, allowing PLA Navy to expand its operational reach in Indian Ocean. Enhanced road and rail networks in Pakistan can facilitate rapid military mobilization, complicating India's defense posture. The corridor also strengthens China's Belt and Road Initiative, increasing geopolitical pressure on India. India's response must combine diplomatic assertion of territorial claims, accelerated border infrastructure, maritime capability enhancement, and strategic partnerships with like-minded countries. So this question, the greater geostrategic power demands greater responsibility to safeguard sovereignty, maintain regional balance, and counter long-term strategic risks. So again, go through the prelims boosters and all these points. They are very, very important notes for your prelims as well as upcoming main exams. Okay, now I am concluding this video here. In my next video, I come up with mapping of GS4 main exams GS4 questions with our essay topic along with prelims boosters. So I hope I have given you valuable inputs for your preparation. So please subscribe to my channel, and I have a website also. You just go through my website, you will get more information and study material, iasgenius.com, and share this video with your friends. Okay, so I'm going to, in my next series, I'm going to take up prelims also, parallel simultaneously, mains, essay paper and all GS4 papers along with prelims booster. That is one track. One more track, it is coming up, preliminary exams preparation, okay, where I'll teach you whether to apply elimination trick or not, whether that question can be answered with only elimination trick or no, all that we'll see. See you very soon in my next episode. Thank you very much.